Where does the right powers to make what in effect was a coup? Where? And a coup by definition is an illegal thing.
Some people, they call them, say, a truth. Some call them deeper truth. Some people call them merciful truth. But the truth you need to know. And the change you need to make. The direction you need to take. But remember, we don't leave too much in the hands of some few people. We don't over depend on some people for make it happen. And the people take us towards another direction, towards self.
And a coup by definition is an illegal thing.
They could send you for solitary confinement. When they send you for solitary confinement, that will be all, and they will walk without any rifle. I hold it for my conscience. I hold it for my conscience for tell the Ambazonian people today. Say, when I know when Secretary Chris Ano be resign, this is the crook of the matter. When he be resign, because of the problem with APNC, a situation happened. And if any man argue me, I go show you with proofs of videos. Audios. When Chris Ano resigned, I tried to find out what happened. That one passed. Suddenly, I received a call from my sister, Madam Ngwa Irene. He asked Joshua Carr for line. And he tell me, say, we need to do something now because APNC go hold. Mr. Siseko, he don't talk, he want control IG, he want controlling them. We don't finish. We don't finish, we go lost power. We need to do something now. I say, so wait till we go do. Say, you need to do something. Wait, I need to bring up some story. I need to bring up some story for frame me up. I said, which kind of story? Joshua Carr was on the line. He said, we get to create them now to make the media know, say, he hold meeting from prison. And so if he hold Zoom meetings on prison and he control the people outside, La Republic government, they know the authorized phones or communication outside, they go send him for solitary confinement. When they send him for solitary confinement, that will be all, and they go walk without any rivalry. Joshua Carr was very excited for go do that. Make he go try to argue me. Make I prove him. I don't be quiet for a long time.
You had a phone call from your sister, I assume she was your sister, asking you to be part of a conspiracy to lie about Siseko Ayok Tabe. Can you tell us a little more about that? Because you said it in passing, but that was what made me pay attention to you. That this guy is a patriot. He is focused on the struggle, and he's not going to be playing sectarian games. Expand on that allegation or on that phone call that you received.
Let me comment here that this 2020 will be a very trying year for the Ambazonians. We have seen the fact that coronavirus have taken us or taken the whole world behind, and everybody is paying more attention to the coronavirus rather than the crisis in the world, especially the Ambazonian crisis, you will see it being neglected. And on their own side of La Republique, you will see them killing our people, killing everyone, and we will think that we are losing. And if you have your ears on the ground, you will discover that the southern zone is getting weaker, and so the attention is in the northern zone. But war is never fought everywhere, and so there is hope that where we are, we're doing just good, but we should have been better, but because of issues of leadership. And that is why we come to that point where I had to come and say some truths. I had to come and talk because people were paying more attention of keeping power rather than saving the people. People looked at others to be the threats to them holding leadership. And it is very aching to take private conversations and put them out there. That was the fix that I was in. I am a gentleman. I can be very fierce if I want to put up my activist cap, but I still look at it. How do you think? How do people look at me? If I have a private conversation and then I record it and I say I have a record. But I had to get to that point because there were critical things that were being discussed. There were things that are affecting lives of people, and I had to go beyond the ordinary, beyond what I like to do, and keep that record. And so that is why that conversation came up when my sister here called, and we were talking on the line with Joshua Carr. I understand that he had gone out there to try to debunk it and argue about it. But as I said, on the day of the discussion, I didn't record. But because I saw other things that happened, and I know that it will be argued. And so I brought up that topic for us to discuss one more time with my sister. And when we discussed, I recorded what we discussed. And I keep it for the records. When it is time and I'm asked, I will give it out. Their problem was because Siseko Ayoktabe was like a risk to them. If they allow him to begin to speak, if they allow him to begin to talk to the public and remain in control, then they are going to lose control. And that is why the woman, as a very good player, had to bring up that idea that we should implicate him in a way that he should be sent to the dungeons. And of course, I had to reason. I had discussed with some of the people in the Naira incident before, and I discovered that someone like Tassa and Siseko were treated differently. They were always in dark rooms, in water, and in very terrible situations. They did not know for about 3 months or 4 how the others are. They don't know what is happening or where they are. And to get the trauma of what they go through and see myself being part of those that should implicate such people, it is grievous. And even after that, when SCAF had tried to make some meetings between the two leaders, it got to a level where the supporters of Siseko had gathered some money, and he said, I'm going to give you this $60,000. Put it into defense. Change the situation on the ground. And our own people that are out here refuse to take this money and prefer to be by themselves and lie to the public. And then you should also understand that there is a bigger something to achieve if they are on themselves than if they work with this man, because maybe somebody will be asking you questions to answer for this or that. So I leave it at that.
Yes, and I'm really, as you explain, I'm thinking. Well, I started this conversation with the toughest question, and thank you for that explanation. And I know in your statement you covered a lot of things that I was going to come to. I just have another quick question, another follow-up question on this thing with your sister. When did she ask you to do what you said she did?
Yeah, if you ask me the specific dates, I would not at a blow let you know that.
No, just give me around the time period. I just want to get a sense of the time period.
our leaders were in search for quite some time, and we didn't know where they were. And finally, they were transferred to the prison principal or so. So when they were there, it wasn't like something they weren't discussing with the public all the time. But it got to a time where they started talking and holding some few meetings with others outside. And if you discover the same moment when the impeachment or things begin to come against him, that was that same period where he tried to ascertain himself in position, because I think he saw a situation wherein his own followers were also not having a position to work and in that government, and maybe he also saw it that or heard complaints about the struggling, and as a leader will want to do something that will bring back the spirit, but that was automatically seen as a threat. So if you can think about where the arguments came up, then I think you can say ascertain that period. But saying that it is June or November now on this show is something I wasn't prepared.
Yes, let me say why I want people to be educated on this. Because, you have said it yourself that our struggle is been suffering from lack of leadership. And so, and this particular period is when I think the leadership problem was going to be exacerbated. And I see that you struggled with it, because when I listened to you at the time, and I was like, why didn't he expose it at that time so that all of what later developed should not have developed? But I can see that you were dealing with a relative and struggling. I don't know where you were, but just listening to you at that time, I assume you were in their camp, you were working with them, and which is what I really admire. If you have been in that camp and then you are out and you are where you are in this struggle now, I think it shows a lot of courage and a lot of love for Ambazonia, or to see that situation resolved, irrespective of who resolves it or who loses from their own attempt. Am I right in my assessment there?
What I just wanted to correct is that it is not a matter of being in their camp and at one time out of their camp.
Okay.
It is, look, I think that we are all struggling for the liberation of Ambazonia. Mm-hmm. I do not look at myself like that person who was now working with the IG of Sako and now has left to the IG of Siseko or this. What I see is that whatever transpired, whatever happened, mm-hmm. people should not be treated unjustly. People should not be treated the way some were treated. But now, whatever I say, do not stop others from following their own leader that they prefer. And so, what I also say, or when I pinpoint something, does not automatically mean that I cannot or I do not work with the IG of Sako. I still recognize him as a leader, but I still recognize Siseko as my leader. And I still recognize people like Kwanga and the Dr. Ayabas as leaders of their own rights and of their own levels. And so that distinction should be made, that I still recognize them like leaders. And in any step of the way, if I need to support any of them to achieve their own vision for Ambazonia, so long as it is Ambazonia, I will collaborate with them. For example, I work with the counties, I work with the LGs. Those are institutions that are mostly run by Sako. So they can't tell me I'm anti-IG. And any initiative of His Excellency Siseko, I appreciate and I support. Any other leader, Dr. Akwanga and so on, I support their views. There are times I also support even things like the BCDF and other movements if I am contacted for one support or the other. And if there is any policy they make that is for Ambazonia, I go for it. It's not being in one camp or the other. I am for Ambazonia. But the people had made it in such a way that we must belong either to A or B. Some come out to say, choose your side. You cannot be on the fence. No. On whose side should I be? And the only side I am is on the Ambazonian side. So if you are for Ambazonia, I will be for you. But if you do wrong, I will also point it out. That is me. If my father, when he was still alive, there are times we argue, but there is nobody that had ever lived that I love more than my father. But we argue.
So let me ask you this, though. The reason I'm trying to put some time, why did it take you so long? Like I said, if you had come out sooner rather than later, maybe it would have educated our people a little more. It's just a question that other people watching would like to know. Because that's a question that I was asking myself. I said, that is so courageous. But why didn't he do it earlier?
Yeah, at times, you don't follow your sentiments. Okay. We don't follow the people because others are talking and because others are fighting injustice, and they begin to talk and they begin to fight and they begin to point out things. Every day you see some activists talking online live and fighting others and so on. I always ask myself, of what use? Of what use? Does this really add anything? So I am more interested into action than politicking. But there are times you set your mind, and until your mind comes to that point that it says it is right for you to say that. I am also a spirit man. I like to believe in things of the invincible. And so that is why I set my mind until it told me in my spirit that this thing you are about to say will make impact. As from now, whatever you say is what will make impact. Now, there are many things, there are thousands of secrets that I know that I wouldn't say. Even selecting which one was relevant was a problem. But I thought that that particular one was most relevant at that time. And because it caught up with my spirit, I knew that it was going to make the appropriate impact. Now, if you do not see it physically, but I'm telling you that it has touched minds, people have spoken from maybe about 1 year about this same issue, but my one outing has a better impact, according to my honest assessment, for people who look at the truth and people who look at the mind they had. So I think it was the right time. And if something is God ordained in this struggle, then I think it was the ordained time for me to have spoken out.
If they were clever, what would have done? They would have formed their own government, they would have formed their own movement. But it's a derivative. Rubbing off from Sisiku, that's what it is. Where does the derive powers to make what in effect was a coup? Where? And a coup by definition is an illegal thing.